You're listening to Oppositional Forces. Bad guys for good reasons. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Oppositional Forces. I am your host, Scotty Don't, and with me, as always, is the mighty frost giant from the frozen north, Mr. Frost. Say hello.
Hey, hey.
Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, boo-boo.
Welcome, everybody. Our last episode, we were talking about summer safety, and we were talking here a little while ago, and we're like, you know what? Let's scrap a little bit of what we have on the table and kind of create a caveat because there are some things happening in Mr. Frost's personal future that kind of brought up the subject of fire safety. And I think that it's a worthwhile subject to cover because, I mean, let's be honest. The summer months, you're out, you're having fun, you're doing your thing. And we talked a lot about what you can do and how to stay safe and how to have a plan. But we didn't really talk about kind of one of the things that plagues the U.S., especially the Western United States, the most during the summer, which is fire. Fire. Burn it all down.
Yes.
Because we didn't start the fire. It was always burning.
We didn't start the fire.
California has been burning since the dawn of time. And it only gets worse every year. And so those of you who are listening in California, we're sorry.
Well, I mean, New Mexico has been on fire, wildland fire, for well over a month now.
Yeah, no, New Mexico is absolutely scorched earth right now.
Yeah, the largest to date for that state wildland fire.
Yeah, which is, it's really upsetting for the people who live nearby. Not only do you have to deal with the haze and the ash, smoke inhalation, it does a lot of things when you're, close but far, but people are losing their homes, they're losing pets, they're losing, acres and acres of, productive, fields and
Texas too. Texas is on fire right now too.
Oof. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, and it gets worse from there. So I thought, not only about wildland fire, but I asked Mr. Frost, like, hey, what if we started out in the home and then worked our way out? Now, a lot of this stuff it's pretty straightforward. But how many of you are actually doing and being proactive, the things that should be in place, the plans, the gear, in order to keep yourself safe, your family safe. So let's kind of cut through the thick of it and just jump into it. Mr. Frost, I was asking you kind of like, the questions that come up when you were doing all your training for wildland fire, and you had a couple of things to shoot across the board, kind of the facts and statistics. What do you got for me?
Well, I'll touch a little bit on wildland fire. I'm going to say this because I'm still trying to quit smoking. I did a really good job for like a week, 10 days, and then kind of fell back into whatever. But I'm going to say this. A lot of people seem to think a lot of wildland fires are started by cigarettes off the side of the road, and they're not. To be honest with you, it's all you nasties that throw your trash out with glass bottles, plastic bottles. That bottle and plastic bottle, clear, especially a little bit of liquid in there is like a magnifying glass. Gets in that little bit of grass and that little bit of those weeds kind of hanging out, and it goes up. It just goes up like crazy.
Well, and I was surprised at how fast a fire can start just from pulling off to the side of the road.
Oh yeah, chains on your vehicle.
Your catalytic converter,
right,
resting against some dry grass, and all of a sudden, I was watching, this will tell you a little bit more about me than you probably want to know. I watch a bunch of like cop videos, like
auditing cops,
a lot, and well, all kinds of stuff, right? Cop watching and things like that. And there was this high speed chase, and the cruiser, the police cruiser, ended up parked in the tall grass when the other car came to not a screeching, but like a rollover halt, and his car sitting there because they'd been gunning it 110, 120 miles an hour down the interstate, and that catalytic converter sitting there in the tall grass just.
Oh yeah, it's crazy to see how fast stuff burns. I've always been fascinated with fire, so
who hasn't?
Right. I think it's a boy thing, but at the same time,
it's very gendered of you.
It is, but they have proven for men are more prone to stare at fire because it's almost like a trance and meditative state that it puts our brains in.
Interesting. Huh, I've never heard that before. See, and you guys thought that you weren't going to learn anything from us today.
Right.
Everything else can be an eye roll today. Like, yes, I know I have a fire extinguisher. But I mean, that's interesting.
On a sadder note, I found out something today doing a little bit of research. I didn't know, but statistically, one child dies from a house fire every day. Every day. One child, at least.
And that's such a terrifying idea as a parent to think about, because a lot of the people who die from fires, they die from smoke inhalation first.
Right.
They suffocate in their beds, and your fire alarms. I only know this because I had a salesman come through not too long ago that was trying to sell us on some more advanced smoke detection equipment. But like the smoke alarms that you have in your house are like, I think it's like 3 in 10 actually detect a fire in time.
Right.
Like, but usually it's like flames are already melting the detector box before
I'm sure
those things start to go off, and some of them don't ever.
Yeah, well, you look at it like between winter and summertime, the number one cause of fire is cooking. The number one cause, no matter what time of year it is, and that
especially me cooking.
Whatever. I'll pet Scotty Don't ego here. He's a very good cook, but it that's the number one cause, and the next is smoking. Smoking causes fire.
Having one after some romantic entanglement, and
or just sitting there on the recliner. If you smoke in your house, I'm not a guy who, even in my heaviest time of smoking, I never smoked in my house.
I think it's gross.
It is. I like the action of smoking. I like the habit of it. And it's not necessarily, it's nicotine for sure, because we both know that I get stabby, but it comes down to, I just like the action of it, the social interaction of it, because of, well, I'll blame it on the Marine Corps. That was social hour. You're standing around or you're sitting at the bar and you're just drinking, you're smoking and joking. And it's one of those things that's what I associate a lot of in-depth conversations with, even with Mr. Valentine. I'd go up to his place there for a while, and we would sit out on his back patio, and I would easily in 4 hours burn through a pack of cigarettes just shooting the breeze, just because I enjoyed it.
Yeah. So, kind of jumping in on some of this stuff, I was wondering if there was a substantial difference between the seasons and house fires. Did you have anything on that?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was saying, is there like a substantial difference between the different seasons regarding house fires?
When when I was kind of researching this a little bit more, I mean, I've kind of been in and out of the fire industry for a while. I designed fire sprinkler systems for business and home-based businesses for large luxury homes, just because it was so fascinating to me. It seems like there's a little bit more of a fire situation when it comes to summertime versus wintertime. I mean, the fires are usually a lot more detrimental during the wintertime, but during the summertime, you know, there's the fireworks, there's the barbecues, there's a lot more kind of that holiday themed in the backyard. There's billions of dollars that are lost in homes because of barbecues and people trying to deep fry things, and smokers especially. Somebody smoking something.
Smoking some meats. I love smoking meat.
Oh, yeah. So do I. I love to eat it. But the problem is people aren't paying attention. They're trying to smoke something right next to the garage.
Yeah.
And it's too close to the garage, and it starts to melt the vinyl siding. And then right on the opposite side is all your paint cans and your gas can for your freaking lawnmower and everything like that. And it just burns through, and poof, suddenly your garage explodes, and that leads right into your crawl space, usually your attic space, into your house. And, sometimes you don't even know your house is on fire because it's your attic. You don't see the smoke through your house because it's just burning your roof off, and it's just burning down versus up.
Yeah. Well, and especially, the risks associated with, people being either careless or not very knowledgeable about the products that they keep in their garages. Summer's definitely a time, maybe not here in southern Utah because it's triple digits, but late spring, early even midsummer, and in a lot of places before it gets too hot. This is project season.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, that's a lot of things when you start looking at contents of what you keep in your garage. Like, if we lived up north, I wouldn't really bat an eye about keeping certain things in my garage because of the heat. But when you read something like lawn fertilizer, and you stack up even the mulch in your garage that you bought from Home Depot, and you leave it in your garage, that heat builds and builds and builds and becomes very combustible. Mm-hmm. And maybe you're off to work and you don't realize it, and there's a little hole in the bag, and one mulch bag is a little bit wetter than the other. Suddenly, it's like green hay. Green hay goes up like nothing.
Yeah.
A little bit of moisture, and a little bit of some tight compacted hay, and you don't need flame. You don't need anything. It's just science.
Yeah. And so, I was hoping, this is kind of like the general idea. I'm hoping that if people enjoyed enough, the kind of the to do's and not to do's, from the last episode, I'm hoping that maybe we could provide something that is more of a reminder. I mean, this is a lot of stuff that you get through, the public education system. Everybody has fire safety classes at school.
Stop, drop, and roll.
Right. For the, the religious folk, there's oftentimes like, firesides and things like that cover, a lot of these different subjects. There's PSAs all over the place, in between watching Saturday morning cartoons and even Oprah back in the day, where, they cover a lot of this stuff. But if something that we say just hits right at the right moment, maybe you turn around and you say, hey, you know what? When was the last time I checked my smoke alarms and changed the batteries? Or, oh, you know what? I do have a fire extinguisher, under the kitchen sink, but I don't have one, in the garage or in my car. Or,
well, it's not just, that's the thing is, when we talk about fire extinguishers, it's a big deal. Like, make sure that your fire extinguisher is charged. It's under pressure. So it's not the flame retardant that goes bad in your fire extinguisher. It's the pressure.
Right.
It slowly dissolves in there, and there isn't the pressure there. And that's what you need to make sure of. Just because you have a fire extinguisher under there, maybe you bought it 5 years ago, cool, but it has no pressure in it. So what are you going to do? Shake it like a salt shaker and shake out the powder? And you're better off just throwing freaking salt at something or baking soda at that point.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that was something I learned in like the 5th grade. I went home immediately and tore the top off of one of my mom's, extra things of baking soda and stuck it, to the right of the stove.
Right.
She's like, what are you doing? Why are you opening that? I was like, you gotta have this by the stove, Mom.
Right.
There's going to be a grease fire and you got to shake this all over the grease fire. It's going to put it out. Which, I mean, it can. It's very helpful. More so helpful would be a fully charged fire extinguisher.
Right. And having the right type of fire extinguisher for the right type of fire. There are many different types of fire extinguishers that you have to think about. Because, I mean, there's some fire extinguishers that are maybe they're not made for a grease fire. They're not made for a chemical fire that's going to help suppress that. Because a chemical fire doesn't necessarily use oxygen to burn.
Right.
So you need something that's going to really actually smother that and really kind of work and separate those chemicals.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Oh, I was like, yeah, no, give me more. I mean, yeah, because there's, there's the A, B, and C extinguishers. There is A, B, and C, D, and
K, and
yeah, there's all kinds of stuff, and it really depends on what it is that you're going to try to suppress. So in the house, generally speaking, an ABC extinguisher is the way to go.
Oh yeah, you're gonna cover all bases for sure. I think.
If you've got a bunch of lacquer and, a gas can and different types of paint and solvents and stuff like that in the garage, because you're, some sort of project person, then you're going to need, a big hefty fire extinguisher for the garage.
I think that's a great thing to have. And even just even having a bucket of water, you know what I mean? Like, as crazy as that sounds, sometimes that'll just kind of save the day.
Right. Well, and I always have, I've always kept long, large hoses attached to all of my outdoor spigots because you never know when you need to reach 50 feet to one corner of the house or the other and spray something down.
Right.
I've come across that in particular situation more than once in my life. And I was grateful to have, quick access to some water. Not that water's the best, for everything, but when you're talking about, immediate fire suppression of, wood, grass, things like that, then yeah, you want to put some water on it. Your barbecue's going up in smoke. Yeah, I'm gonna miss you, Traeger, but you're gonna get hosed down before you burn my house down.
I mean, that's something to think about. During Thanksgiving, how many fires start from people still having a frozen turkey and dumping it in a big vat of grease, and that's a huge,
and the vat's twice overfilled,
and that's what causes a lot of fires during the holiday seasons is stuff like that, and then people who. I don't care for a live Christmas tree. That's not my thing, just because, well, they're messy and it smells good, but then you got to get rid of it, and then it's a big pain in the ass. Anyways, there's huge fire hazards there. If you're not keeping it watered, it dries out really quick, and you got electricity pretty much strung through it, and you got a dumb cat that likes to eat wires, or a stupid dog that likes to eat wires, and that's all it's going to take is a spark or a bulb to burn out, and suddenly you have an electrical fire that turned into essentially a tree fire because it's up in smoke.
Yeah. Well, and I heard somewhere that the insulation around a lot of wiring smells very enticing to like mice and rats.
Oh yeah.
Which is why they chew through it. It's not because they're just mischievous little animals, little suicide machines that want to shock themselves to death. but there's something about the insulation that they're actually attracted to. I don't remember what it was, and I mean, feel free to Google this and be like, "Oh, Scotty don't."
You don't know what the hell he's
He
talking
has
about.
no idea what he's talking about, and oftentimes I don't. But there's something to that. One of the other things, and this is just as we kind of dive a little bit more on the home safety side, there are a lot of electronic equipment. There's lots of electronic equipment in your home now. Everything's plugged in. Everything has some sort of automation, runs on something, charges some sort of battery. A lot of these things go through super rigorous testing. They plug these things in, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for, months and months at a time to make sure that these things don't break down. The problem is, as we've seen with vapes and even very expensive cell phones.
No, that's what I was gonna touch that of.
Oh, were you? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm just commenting of like, let's never mind. Never.
Well, there's this other side of the fence that a lot of people don't consider, and that's unplugging unnecessary things.
Well, it helps your energy too. A lot of people don't realize that, but just because something isn't plugged into it and it's plugged into the wall, it's still calling for energy for your power bill.
Low current draw.
Right.
Yeah.
It still makes your power bill go up.
Yeah. And so these low current draw items, I don't know if anybody listening has ever heard of Six Sigma. Six Sigma is basically the aim of every manufacturer to produce 1 million of something to perfection. And by that, the Six Sigma means for every 1 million items you produce, there's only 6 of them that are faulty. That's considered industrial perfection. And so of those 6, maybe 4 of those will get caught by quality assurance. There's going to be 2 of them that inevitably, for every 1 million of these things produced, get sent out to the consumers. So the reason I'm saying unplug the unnecessary things in your home, not only is it better for your power consumption, but there's also inherent flaws in some of these things that may have not have gone through as rigorous testing as other items. I can go on Amazon today and I can buy cheap, crappy Chinese stuff yes, I'm hating on the Chinese stuff. Some Wuhan made electronics that have not passed the rigors. Now they're using similar items. Sometimes, they're knockoff items. Sometimes these things are fabricated, in somebody's like garage or apartment, and they're punching these things out as quick as they can. They're not made to U.S. standards, and they don't have the proper stamps on them. There's a bunch of those little symbols and stuff you find on the back of electronic things. There's
the UL and all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. All of those have to do with some sort of rigorous testing that item specifically has gone through for safety. And especially when we're talking about the cell phones and the vapes and all these different things, those are lithium batteries. Lithium is explosive when it comes in contact with oxygen. And at least the way that these lithium ion batteries are created. They put a certain amount of chemicals in these things, so they carry these great big long charges. And when exposed to air, they immediately start breaking down so rapidly it causes toxic fire. Same thing when they get wet. If they're exposed to water, they also go through a combustion sequence and they explode. I know this because of my wonderful time in the Marine Corps. We had lithium batteries for our radios, those big,
brick fucking heavy bastards. Yeah, I remember them.
And they were disposable batteries, but there were these giant bricks.
They're heavy.
The non-rechargeable ones. And we took them to the field and stuff and took them on deployments because they were light. They were they were like a third the weight of the rechargeable batteries.
Okay.
And so when you're man packing these things and you're trying to worry about every ounce, you know, we'd reach for the lighter ones because, hey, you know, when we're done with it, you just discard and move on. You know, battlefield environment. Well, they don't like water, and we learned that real quick. So this is one of the other kind of like growing causes for concern when it comes to fires. I mean, think about everything that's battery charged now. To the extent that even when you go out camping and hiking and all these different things, you know, solar panels and these solar blankets and stuff like that that are designed to collect, you know, energy so that you can charge all of the wonderful electronics you can take out with you into the woods. You've got so many more things in your home that run on power now, more than we ever have. It's kind of insane. I mean, my bathroom growing up didn't have anything that plugged in. The outlet looked absolutely useless to me. And it wasn't until my sisters were older, you know, and they were using hair dryers and hair curlers and stuff like that, which are dangerous.
Especially if you're throwing a bathtub with somebody in them.
But there's, you know, there wasn't near as much now. Now, shoot, in my bathroom, I've got one of those, you know, hair, beard trimmer, liner upper things that plugs in. Our toothbrushes plug in. The water pick plugs in. Of course, then you've got hair dryers and curlers and straighteners and all that stuff for the lady folk. You know, but we even have a wiretap in our bathroom because the missus likes to listen to, you know, her music when she's getting ready, and I happen to listen to sea shanties when I shower. You know,
Ben Shapiro.
You're like, okay, Google, like, play me some sea shanties. And it's like, cool. Don't get me wet because I'll start a fire. I'm like, shut up, play music. So, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff in there now. And so, I think that people forget how much of this automation and how much of this, you know, jump into the electronic age that we've had, that these are a lot of the things that are driving, at least statistically, your chances of having a fire in your home. So, one of the big things we talked about is the fire extinguishers, unplugging unnecessary items when they're not in use. You know, these batteries are big concerns. If you leave your laptop plugged in 24 hours a day and your cell phone's constantly charging on something, and your kids, you know, PlayStation controllers are charging on the cradle.
PlayStation's just plugged in. Like at my house, our Xbox, the fan is starting to burn out in the plug that you can hear it. It sounds like a fart fan in a bathroom.
Oh yeah.
I walk past it and I'm like, fuck, I gotta unplug that. And then I keep walking.
You know, so there's a lot of things to take into consideration, including, I mean, actually you touched on one, earlier when you were talking about like, magnification. Mm-hmm. I thought I had enough caffeine in me today to speak clearly. Clearly
not.
But clearly not. There's kind of this old joke about, you know, a gal goes into like an apothecary, pagan shop and is shopping around, and all of these crystal balls are there, and they all have these little silk, you know, covers over them. And the lady says, how come these are all covered? Is it because somebody on the other side can see you? And she says, no, darling, they're crystal balls. The sun shines through here, you know, every day. And you basically get like a bunch of magnifying glasses shooting a beam of focused light. It can start fires.
Stupid.
So it's something that people don't take into consideration, you know, when they buy all these crystals and these shimmery things, you know, that they put by their windows to break light and bend light in different ways.
Right.
people who burn incense and smudge and all this kind of stuff. Those are not particularly safe activities if you've got maybe a whole bunch of cats, right? With you people with your incense and your crystals. I know you got a couple of cats.
You can't put that just on cats.
Shut up. I'm doing what I want.
Dogs as well, 'cause we all know dogs shed.
Listen, there is somebody listening right now that's like, oh, shit, I do got a lot of cats.
I agree. But
they're knocking over their incense burning. Because, I mean, they've got those decorative, burners and stuff now where the smoke billows through the little,
cool.
Japanese village or something
cool.
like that.
They're cool.
They are cool. Let a cat knock one of those over and it lands in your, your big, thick plastic carpet fibers and you got a house fire.
Or just the big pile of cat hair in the corner. The little cherry falls off and hits that you haven't vacuumed out because you don't see it tucked away over there.
Yeah, or you have kids like mine that just could care less. The general cleanup was done. The high traffic areas were touched. What do you want from me?
Right.
Well, what about all this dust over here? Like, ugh, fine. I'll do that spot.
Just that
because you noticed. But I mean, so and that's inside the home, right? In the garage is a totally different story. People have deep freezers like I do. Because you got to have somewhere to put all that elk that you didn't kill last year.
Right.
Because I was working. We got deep freezers. You've got, exercise machines. People have, their home.
Their second clothes rack.
Exactly.
That sits in there that's just plugged into the wall.
And once again, battery chargers. There's a bunch, me included. I have a bunch of, I almost said farm implements.
No, that's not true.
Gardening tools, if you will, for lawn care, and that's all. It's all battery operated because I didn't want to keep big containers of fuel in the house.
He just wants lithium batteries.
I just want a bunch of lithium batteries. But if you leave those plugged in your garage constantly, so they've got a full charge, one, you're damaging the batteries because they're not designed to sit on the chargers that long, and two, you've got the fire hazard. Situation all over again. How many things do you have plugged in there? Do you have your power drill plugged in and your scroll saw and your table saw and, all these different, and is it sitting next to the cans of varnish? So,
or next to the Christmas ornaments and tinsel.
Yeah, exactly.
Things like that. Or
did you get a cheap Dremel as I raise my hand, did you get a cheap Dremel like product from a Harbor Freight? And I don't have it plugged in constantly, but
don't hate on Harbor Freight. That's my jam.
Listen, I'm not hating on Harbor Freight, but if I wanted tools to fail the first time I use them, that's where I get them.
Hey, they're disposable. It's how you make people disappear.
I owe Little Scotty a hammer from the Barber Collective because I was trying to help him remove a bed from his basement. And I don't even know how they got the box spring down there because it just wouldn't go back upstairs. Yeah. And so we're like breaking this thing down so it'll fit up the stairs. And I hit the thing wood to wood. It was the handle against the wood.
And the head broke right off.
The head snapped right off. I'm pretty sure I had a Harbor Freight sticker on there. Pretty sure. And that's where he's getting his replacement from. So I'm going to go Harbor Freight. Like, here's that hammer I promised you.
Whatever.
Like, dude, this is made out of like balsa wood. Like,
right. It's for decoration.
So home safety, right? Fire safety, garage, especially if you work on your cars and things like that, and you got oil soaked rags and all sorts of stuff. You should have the fire bins where all those rags go. You should be unplugging all of these different items. Just generally speaking for all that safety. Are you parking your car in the garage, right? For those like 5 people in the U.S. that actually utilize their garage for what it was designed for.
We know you don't.
No, mine's part storage unit, part...
my stuff in there as well.
Yeah, it's part storage unit and part project site. And I don't think I've parked a car in a garage. Well, no, because the wife, she parked hers in there for a while.
Right.
So there was in a 2-car garage, there was enough for 1 car.
Right.
And it's because she put her foot down and was like, I need to be able to park in the garage. Like, okay, fine, whatever. I'll make room. Yeah. But if you're parking your car in the garage, once again, you're bringing something that has a combustion engine, and if you've got a bunch of fumes that are pooling around and filling up the garage as you're starting your car or pulling it in, that could be cause for concern.
Well, that's even something to think about as well with people who do like wood projects or things like that, the varnish, the paint, things like that. If you have an automatic garage door opener, that has spark. It has a little bit of spark when it lights up when you open up the garage. So if you let those cans breathe or paint breathe, not only are you
in a confined space.
Yeah, not only are you making pretty much a little bit of a gas bomb in there, you're creating a situation of like you start your car before you even open up the garage.
Yeah.
Sometimes, there's some people that are crazy enough to do that. I'm going to warm up my car even though it's in the garage.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, open the garage door, then do that so that we're not
let it air out a little bit. One of the things I've seen personally is, when the garage doors blow out because of a gas bomb.
Oh yeah.
Those are always so fascinating to me because it looks like a pregnant garage door.
Right.
Because that flash, there may not be enough in there to start like a genuine house fire, but there was enough that it blows that garage door out.
But it's a bow in the garage. It's not like you backed your car into the garage door.
Yeah.
Because you can tell the difference.
Yeah.
You can definitely tell the difference because the whole door is like, oh, somebody's building a boat in there.
Yeah. Some ring got that garage pregnant.
Right. Got stuck in there and he was lost. Some second lieutenant.
Yep. So, I mean, starting to creep out of the house and into the great outdoors. I touched on it a little bit, talking about how there's all these electronics and stuff people bring now, battery operated lanterns and
hold on. While we're
I'm sorry.
Kind of there at the houses, let's touch on this a little bit. And I think that this is a big thing because not only is it useful for fire, it's useful for anything that happens in your home. And now, it's my tinfoil hat or, breaking and entering situation, or there's a shooting, or, somebody comes in the house and you have kids or you have other family members or a group of people that you share a house with. Having a plan of where you're going to go and how you're going to get out and who you can contact, especially if you have kids, like the kids know the neighbors of like, oh, the house is on fire. You know what I mean? I need to get out of here. Got to stay low. I'm out of the house. I can run to, Joe Bob next door and have him call 911. And, Joe Bob, it's now alert that, well, because where we live, most of the houses are built on top of each other. You can almost open your bathroom window and shake hands and ask to borrow a roll of toilet paper. But I mean, in all actuality, having that plan and everybody knows this is where we're going to meet. This is who you can talk to. This is where you can go, regardless if you have cell phones, because you shouldn't be worried about cell phones can be replaced. All that crap can be replaced. Stop. Oh, I got to save the Xbox or I got to save the PlayStation or something like that. Like I got to find my phone, even though most of you probably plug your phone in and leave it right by your head. And I don't know. I do the same thing, but I know it's not good for us. Anyhow, having that plan of there's an intruder or there's something that goes south in the house, everybody knowing how to get out and having a plan of that exit strategy, regardless if it's a fire, a flood, an earthquake, a home intruder, the apocalypse, whatever it is, you have a plan. And if you have a multi-level house, that's a big thing too. Where's the ladder that goes out? What window are you going out if you have to exit out of that house? Everybody has to know where that is. Everybody should know what's going on, how to operate it, how to be able to do it. Kids understanding that nobody's going to be mad if you throw a chair or their desk through the window because there's a fire. Because the firemen are going to come and they're going to break every window in your house anyways. Almost.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, and having a plan is the first step, to success in any of these situations. We've seen a lot of civil unrest in the last number of years here in the U.S. And, summertime is one of those times for it. We talked about it a little bit in the last episode. But people are keenly aware now, more than even last year, on the effectiveness and the process for producing Molotov cocktails. That was pushed all over the internet when Russia began invading I shouldn't say the Ukraine, but when they began invading Ukraine, because people were trying to get that info to as many people there in Ukraine as they could. Well, that information trickled around, every group on Facebook.
Right.
Instagram and Twitter and all these places, they weren't taking it down. They were allowing, the recipes and stuff to float around. Now, come on, Molotov cocktails are not terribly difficult to make, but that's not something they teach you in school. That's not general information that people outside of, the psychopaths and sociopaths associated with people like Mr. Frost and myself.
Yeah, I was just going to say present company included.
Like that's not something that Joe Lawyer or, Joe the plumber really cared about. But now all of a sudden it's like, well, maybe I'll save this meme in my photo album. You never know when that's going to become useful. And there's a bunch of these, blue and purple and pink haired, venomous individuals that think a certain way and believe that words are violence. And if you say something they don't like, maybe they're going to throw a Molotov cocktail at your house.
Violence begets violence.
They did it at the federal courthouses. They've been doing it, at different locations where politicians live, where certain celebrities live. This is something that you and I kind of specialize in now because of everything that's been going on. And because of what we do with executive protection, having a clear understanding of, what to be worried about. This is one of those things, just look at what happened with the Libs of TikTok page. The individual who ran that page or ran that account was doxxed in a news article, and now is not in protective custody, but is currently in hiding, at an undisclosed location because everybody wants to, attack her and go after her. And, there's people they're into this kind of stuff. All it takes is you sharing the wrong opinion on the internet or starting a group or a page or, getting into a little bit of not even political activism. Because I don't think that the education system is supposed to be a particularly political place, but I mean, all the school board members and school board, groups and everything that started up out of that, the FBI and Homeland Security determined that, some of the more outspoken individuals in that were domestic terrorists, and so there's a bunch of things that can go wrong. And the last thing you want is to not be prepared with some sort of plan. If civil unrest comes and they're starting to burn people's houses down, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. This is not your general, I left the popcorn popping air fan on for too long and it melted down and started the house on fire. We're the bad guys. We look at things a little bit different. What else is going on in the world? What else do you think you could possibly expect? What better way to get you out of your house so I can hurt you, assault you, steal your kids, steal your wife, take your stuff, than, starting the front door on fire or the back door to send you out the other way where somebody else is ready to corral you.
Or scoop you up, yeah.
Yep, scoop you up, hurt you, kill you.
Well, that used to be the prank situation of the dog shit in the bag on fire. You know what I mean? Now, literally, that's a way to get somebody to, oh shit, that fucking porch is on fire because we have so many things that we leave laying around and we use, and the type of things that things are made out of that catches us fire just so easily that it just, along with those Molotov cocktails, they were showing how to make, I forget what it's called now.
Describe it to me. I'll give it to you.
It's napalm.
Oh yeah.
So, and I'm not gonna tell you how to make napalm, but it's relevantly very, very easy, and it's essentially two substances that are not regulated in any way, shape, or form, and you can get just about anywhere.
Yeah.
So, I mean, well, you can use 3 different things, but 2 of them, well, all 3 of them are very accessible and very easy to get.
Yeah. Well, and now, with the riots have been going on since the dawn of time, but the newer political, aggression that we're seeing, there's a lot of information going around that's educating these people on how to make different items. So you've got Molotov cocktails, you've got the napalm, which is a real sticky situation.
Yes.
And the other one, which is one of my favorites, is thermite. The ability to make thermite or super thermite,
or even access it.
Yeah,
just already made thermite.
Yeah, and you can buy the stuff. You can make the stuff, and it's mean. Thermite is so mean. And if somebody decides because you've got whatever it is, like a Trump 2024 sign in your front yard. I mean, because we saw how much of that, in the last election, people were running around and trying to uproot signs, drive over them, set them on fire.
People putting any sign,
electrifying them and putting razor blades on them.
I don't condone the razor blade thing, but
you shouldn't booby trap things. That's a no.
I did find it pretty funny though that somebody was like, "Oh, we're gonna electrify this," and watching those videos, those were very funny to me.
Yeah. Well, in the videos now with like the anti-porch pirates and stuff, right. They're all great. But, all it takes is somebody disagreeing with the sign or the flag or whatever it is that you have in the front of your house. You've got the wrong bumper sticker on your car. Somebody decides to put a flower pot super thermite on the hood of your car and melt your engine block. Guess what? Your car's going to go up in smoke. That's going to catch fire. You parked, right up against your house. So now the awning over your garage is catching fire. And before you know it, you've got a serious issue on your hands and you got to have a plan in place. So, I mean, there's a million situations like this that we could go over, but this is just kind of generally speaking, like familiarize yourself, become comfortable with these things.
And just for the record, cars don't blow up like in the movies. You have to have other things in them to make them explode, just so you all are aware.
Right. And if your fuel tank does rupture, it just super spits fuel everywhere.
So it just causes bigger fire.
Yeah.
That's all it does.
It looks somewhat like the explosion you'd think you were going to get, but really what you're getting is, fuel already on fire, spraying in every direction.
And fuel is not actually what burns. It's the vapor from the fuel that is what is explosive or flammable or, ignitable, whatever you want to call it.
See, and you all didn't think that you'd get some science out of this too. So now we're going to go outdoors. 'Tis the season for camping and hunting and fishing. And for me, it's glamping or staying in a cozy cabin somewhere that
has running water.
It has running water, and I don't have to march around in the mud anymore. Look, I did enough of that as a young man. Okay. I am an Eagle Scout. I went all the way through that my entire life. I did that in the Marine Corps. I've been muddy. I'm done. Okay. You can't make me go. You hearing me, Kobe? You can't make me.
You can't make me. Hey, come join us up at the cabin and we're going to go explore. Okay.
Yeah, there's no exploring out there. There's bears. Okay.
It's
Well, you know what? I'm less concerned about it now because I'm not taking my kids up there this time.
right.
So, or the dogs. So I don't really have to stress about it because,
whatever.
me and my G17 here, although it's going to piss a bear off, but you know what?
Whatever.
Die with a smile on my face.
Right.
I'll get mine.
I shot a bear with a fucking 9mm. And I didn't do shit but piss it off.
I'm going to turn his smile into Swiss cheese while he's chewing me up, though. So, so we're out in the outdoors once again. This is a place where a lot of people think they understand what they're doing. It's like firearm safety. You feel comfortable enough around firearms that you're out there making a dozen mistakes a minute because you don't understand the nuance of firearm safety. Same thing with camping. Sure, you know how to start a general fire, but you've got a big old pile of wood and tinder directly next to your fire. Your fire ring is a handful of stones you collected around. You're like, this is a fire ring. Like, no, it's not. Like, dig in, make a hole. If you don't have an actual, ring pit, or you're stacking those stones, a foot high, that is not a fire ring. People stick their lighter fluid right next to the grill, because a lot of these campgrounds and stuff, they've got the grills and stuff. So you bring out the charcoal and you bring everything out, and then the charcoal burns down and you think, hey, whatever, it's pretty much out. Those briquettes are going to continue to glow for hours.
They're hot.
Hours and hours. And, you've got a container full of lighter fluid sitting right next to it, as it expands that plastic bottle over a 2 or 3 hour time period. And all of a sudden it finally ruptures, spewing lighter fluid everywhere. Your tents melt, by the way, just in case you're wondering. They don't burn. They just melt, and they drip melting hot
polyurethane all over
material all over you, all over your stuff, and it sticks to you. And so there's your 3rd-degree burns for the outing.
Oh yeah, can you imagine them taking that wire brush to you, trying to get that cleared out? Yeah.
I'm sorry, sir, we got to get all this plastic off of you and your kid and your dog.
If you make it.
Yeah. But people screw around a lot. I absolutely hate camping for a number of reasons. One is it always feels like, I'm the guy with 4 PhDs in outdoor, wilderness survival and, camping experience, and everybody else is flinging flaming marshmallows around, trying to shake the fire off of their marshmallows. You watch it go 20 feet out into the tall grass, and you're like, oh my God, like,
here we go.
like, this dude's kid just is going to kill us and kill everyone in a 10-mile radius, as this, wildland fire just burns through everything because of a marshmallow. Right. Like, the stuff just like rubs me the wrong way, and that's why I don't like going. That's why I don't like going shooting with a lot of people. People are like, oh, dude, take me out shooting. I got like a handful of guns. I'm like, yeah, I don't know how safe you are.
Well, you get what's his name? That situation with what's his name? Fuck.
We can't name names on here.
I know.
Can't burn people like that.
It's super disrespectful to Kyle, Chris Kyle.
Yeah.
He even knew the dude. You know what I mean? That's my biggest fear. I mean, he didn't know him well, but
yeah,
he knew him, and that's a scary thing to me. I for new shooters, I have to go to a controlled range. Like, I have to go somewhere like that where it's like, okay, we're done. Like, static. I don't go out in the desert with a bunch of just randos. Like, that does not.
I heard you almost say it. You're going to say it, and you're like, yeah, never mind. Maybe some of those guys listen.
Right. But I'm just gonna, I'll put it out there. But honestly, I don't like going conventional kind of camping in some of the bigger areas because I don't like being the fucking trash man.
Yeah.
Most people are nasty, fucking garbagey, trashy people. You leave your fucking trash. You can't pick up after yourselves. Like,
there's burnt beer cans everywhere. There's tinfoil dinners, half eaten.
Pit,
yeah.
And you spend more time trying to clean that up so that you don't have a problem with the raccoons and the squirrels trying to dive into your stuff or, get into your stuff. And then people get mad because, you leave your trash. You can't even put your trash in the bear can.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And you got everybody's like, "Ooh, let's go watch the bears eat the trash at the fucking bear can." It's like, welcome to the great outdoors. Like, more people get killed in Yellowstone by fucking buffalo from getting gored from them because they want to get close and take a fucking picture with them.
Bison.
Buffalo, bison, whatever. I don't care what you want to call them. I really don't. But I'm just literally, I've seen so many, I've seen it firsthand going to Yellowstone. That used to be like my favorite thing as a kid. Like, even though I grew up in the situation that I did, I went more than a handful of times. And I just remember seeing people trying to get up close, and those bison were like almost, rearranging or making a new asshole in somebody because they're running away because they wanted to get right up on them to take a picture. Like,
yeah.
Come on. It's not clicky, take a picture. Like, I know that sounds really horrible, but
it's called Photoshop.
Come on.
Like,
or Zoom. I don't know.
Like just take the picture and then superimpose yourself closer to them than you were.
Right.
You're like, look how close I got. Like,
come on. Fuck off.
You could even trim a couple of pounds off that way too.
Right.
Just get good with Photoshop. So, and there's a lot of these things that kind of go hand in hand with each other. Going out camping, going out, hiking in the great outdoors and stuff. It's not a great idea for you to try to become, modern day caveman while you're out there setting everything on fire, trying to walk around with some Indiana Jones torch, a big old ball of flame coming off of a stick as it will inevitably fall off as the fibers, start to burn and break free of each other.
Don't let your kids do the same thing.
Exactly. Keep an eye on your little snotty kids with their terrible attitudes.
Not even little snotty kids, your teenage kids. That's probably more so the problem than...
Yeah, they're all sneaking off and blowing the cherries off of their apple turned weed pipe. Right. Sort of thing. Like, there's all kinds of reasons why, this stuff goes wrong. So, keep a close eye on what you're doing and how you're doing it. It's not meant to be a lecture session. It's meant to be like, have a plan. Did you bring a bucket that you can, fill up with some creek water or the local spigot or something like that in order to douse your fire?
Right. It doesn't take much. It really doesn't take much. I'd like to touch base before, I know we're kind of cutting it out on time, but if you're going to go camping and you're going to go a little more rural, know your area, carry a map with you, kind of understand where you're at, know where your fire breaks are, especially in those kind of areas, because you would be surprised what that, 6-inch, 8-inch fire break to a 4-lane highway space, whatever, can actually save your life. Because, in wildland fire, you see those guys with those picks and everything like that. They're only making a 12-inch space there. And that fire line sometimes completely stops fires from spreading that line. And then on top of that, kind of cleaning up around it. And then the fire retardant and the water drops, but still it will kind of create a fire break, just that 12 inches. So know where you're at, know where your main roads are, know where if you're hiking out there and maybe you see some smoke or whatever, just be aware. Just know what you're doing, know what's going on. I really think people need to get outdoors, know how to build a fire without matches and gasoline and stuff like that. But, do it in a safe environment. Create a positive environment for yourself. That's all I got.
Yeah. If you guys can, my buddy here, Mr. Frost, is going to be out there. So, be mindful. Don't be the one that that sets that next big fire and sends my friend out there.
So yeah, that's
It's not a safe job.
that's a big thing that I learned today. I got assigned to an engine crew for a private wildland fire company. It will be private side, but yeah, I'll be on an engine this year, my first year wildland fire. So I'm kind of excited, but at the same time, I got the jitters about, I know how stupid people can be, and I know how stupid I am of trying to be a hero, and I'm going to end up probably with a few burns and yelled at a lot because I'm taking a lot of pictures and posting them on the internet because fire is cool.
Yeah, he'll be invited to go home in a week.
Probably.
Be a bunch of memes.
Probably.
All right, well, let's just blow the door and get the hell out of here. I'm tired of lecturing you all.
Yes.
Just kidding. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Oppositional Forces. We didn't cover this stuff at the beginning, but we'll cover it now, just in case you already tuned out and it's too late. Go to patreon.com/oppositional forces. There you're going to find our Patreon page. Please subscribe. Just a couple of coins to your evil fighting witchers means that we get to keep doing this and spreading the good info to the masses. Also, if you go to badguyforhire.com, that's our web address. There you can find all of the fun things that we do for work. And if you have any of those needs, including a Utah concealed weapons permit, we teach those classes. If you're looking for home safety, firearm safety, live fire training, you want to do a group thing, you want to have us travel out somewhere and test your security measures, your physical security measures at your business or at your home, hey, sky's the limit. We're bad guys for a good reason. Okay, so
Because we're good at being bad guys.
yes, we are. Big shout out to our executive producer Thomas Larson, and we love and appreciate you every day, always in our hearts. Thanks again, guys.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Oppositional Forces, Wage War, and Stack Bodies.